Hey, and welcome to the American English School Podcast. So today I thought I would talk to y'all about consumerism. This is a big problem in North America and even Europe because of internet and fast fashion. So I know that in Latin America, this isn't such a big thing, which has its upsides and downsides. Let's get into that. So obviously the upside of not having consumerism in your life is not having to spend money stupidly, recklessly, just because of changing fashion trends and that kind of thing. The bad side is that you don't really have... The bad side is that when you get to countries that are heavily deep into their consumerism, you might feel out of place because it's just not something that's important to you. You might not be wearing the latest fashion trends. You might not be looking the coolest. You might not have the latest gadgets. It might not matter to you, but to everybody else around you, it does. So making a connection with other people and just not having grown up in that consumerist world can be a little daunting. Here's the question. Do you care how other people perceive you? Do you care about connecting on something so materialistic such as monetary value of things? I think life is a lot simpler when we don't care about materialistic things, but let's be honest, we all want the newest phone, we all want the coolest clothes, we all want to look nice and fresh and fly with our haircuts, our hair color, everything. But let's tackle this type of situation. If you are a heavy consumer, maybe on Amazon, or maybe you're always going shopping, how can we minimalize this? And do we want to minimalize this? It doesn't really matter how much you're making. You can always be saving money. There are some reckless spenders out there. I was one of them, more or less. My mother is definitely one of them. We spend money based on our emotions some of the time. It's an emotional roller coaster. If we feel sad, we go buy something. If we feel happy, we go buy something. Why? Because that's what we're conditioned to do by the media, commercials, and people around us. They always say, oh, do some self-care, take care of yourself. Go treat yourself to a nice manicure, or, treat yourself to a new designer purse. And that should make you feel better. But it's not the most genius idea. If you make little money, it's good to save it. If you make a lot of money, it's still good to save it. So frugal living, no matter which end of the spectrum you're at, can save you a headache of problems. Something I recently learned is that you should probably have a budget and be calculating how much you're spending and how much you want to spend and how much you want to save. So we all hear the word budget just like it's not important and, oh yeah, I need to know how much I want to spend and allocate to each thing, right? Right, but we don't actually write it down and take it seriously. So I recently did that and found out how much money I was spending on food, where I needed to cut back, and where I was spending stupidly on things we barely use. And Netflix, believe it or not, was one of those things because it takes us away from our job. It sucks us in, and when we binge watch TV shows, usually there's nothing on it either. Just once in a while, there's a new series that's interesting. So wouldn't it be smarter to restart the subscription that once in a while that new series comes? Or try to find a free way to view it instead of paying every single month $20? Yes is the answer you're looking for. Segueing into that, subscriptions are a thing that you might be wasting money on. Normally, people would rather pay less at once than pay more at once. So for the subscription services, there's an option to pay it full out for the whole year early. But my thing is, I don't know if I want to commit to that whole year. I don't know if I'm going to need it so long. So if I pay for it and don't use it, I wasted my money. And the companies know that. That's why they offer you that. Which is also a good thing if you do know that you're going to be using that subscription for that whole year. It's usually an amazing deal to buy it straight out, right? I think it's much better to be owning the things that you're watching instead of streaming them and paying for it every time that you want to watch something. But that's just me and my old-fashioned DVD mindset. Are you subscribed to Amazon Prime, to Hulu, to Disney Plus, and do you even watch them? If you're on it every day and it's actually benefiting your life instead of distracting you, then yeah, it's probably a good thing to have it. But if you're going there as a refuge to run away from your life, to escape, and you do it too often, it's probably a bad thing. How often do you go to the movie theater? Maybe once a month, maybe once a year. That's probably how often you should be watching these movies on Netflix. Let's take a moment for a message from our sponsors. American English School, a place where you can learn to speak and listen to real American English with a native speaking teacher. If you're interested in taking classes at all, send us a message on WhatsApp and we'll get right to it. We have private classes and semi-private classes. I'll see you on WhatsApp. Another thing you could be stupidly spending money on is consumer goods. Maybe you're spending money on something you don't necessarily need, but the media has coerced you into you thinking that you need it and it's necessary. So what are some of these things? It could be designer perfume. You don't need it, but you want it. Or designer hand cream. It's not necessarily better than the cheaper kind, it just smells and looks better. Is it necessary? No. Another one is makeup. There's a lot of really expensive luxury makeup like Estee Lauder or Tom Ford that looks great, but is it necessarily better? No, sometimes it's not. The mid-range of the makeup selection is usually just as good as that luxury range, and it's way more affordable. Drugstore has its ups and downs with, the ingredients, the packaging. It could break your eyeshadow if the packaging sucks. The ingredients could be non-vegan, could be tested on animals. So now think about your morals. Like, what actually matters to you? Do you care if it's tested on animals? Do you care if the packaging is shitty? Do you care if it looks beautiful? Do you actually use it? That's the biggest question. Usually for makeup palettes, specifically for us girls, there's a lot of colors. Do we use them all? No. Does it look pretty? Sure. Is it helpful? For me specifically, I've noticed that spending $20, $30, $40 on a makeup palette is ridiculous if I'm only using 5 colors, and that's normally what happens to me. The better idea is to buy a makeup palette with less colors in it and colors that I actually want, or just buy single shadows. Single shadows look like a mess, but you can buy a magnetic pan and put it in there and make your own custom palette, which is something I need to do. Because I notice that I always reach for the same eyeshadows and not necessarily all the ones in the palette. Waste of money? Yes, but that's the trick. They show you more so that you want more, but did you need more? No. Like package deals. Sometimes you can buy a package of 5 shirts that are exactly the same. Do you need 5 shirts that are exactly the same? You probably just needed 1. So why would you buy 5? Oh, because it's a good deal. It's on sale. No. Think about what you want and what you need. Make lists, like literally write it down like I did. Write down what you're actually spending every month. Write down what you need out of that. Write down what you can give up out of that. Kind of like Lent, give it up. But permanently, not for a month. If there's anything that you're missing and you notice the hole in your day-to-day that you have an issue or you struggle a little bit, it's not as smooth as you'd like it to go because you're missing that product, you probably need it. For me, that one's moisturizer. I can't live without it because my skin gets all flaky and dry and disgusting and I look like a crocodile. So moisturizer is very important. Do I need the best one? No, not necessarily. I just need one that works for me. And for me, that's something very hydrating that also has SPF. Those are my requirements. Also, if it could be cruelty-free and vegan, that would be a bonus. So what are yours? Let me know down below this video if you're watching on YouTube, and let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation on how we can spend less on stupid shit and actually be responsible adults. I know, crazy, right? We're freaking adults. We need to think about the bigger picture, like buying the house, buying the car full out, without monthly payments, without a mortgage, instead of buying the nicest sneakers. That shit doesn't matter. That's kid shit. You need to get your ass in gear and think about your future family, your current family, your dog, how you can save and put your money to where it needs to go instead of where you want it to go. Would you rather a mansion and a Lamborghini with not much stuff in it? Or would you rather a little shitty house and an old used car with a bunch of luxurious shit in it? I picked the Lamborghini and the mansion. I don't know about you. I've definitely seen small houses that look like shit on the outside but are luxurious on the inside. So, you decide. Pick your path. This is a game of life, literally, and you have to pick how you turn out. Nobody else. Thanks so much for listening to this very long, rambly podcast about consumerism, spending, budgeting, and I'll see ya in the next podcast. Bye, guys.